Knowing which powerlifting federation that you're going to join is going to be one of the most important decisions that you need to make as a new powerlifter. This essentially dictates how you're going to be training and performing the lifts long term. But what is a powerlifting federation and which one should you join? Now, this video will provide you with all the information that you need in order to make an informed decision. And if you stay to the end, I'll explain to you which federation I'm a part of and why. So let's go. Before we discuss how federations differ, let's briefly explain what a federation is. Now, in the world of powerlifting, federations are organizations that govern and regulate the sport and how they're performed. They provide a structured environment for the lifters to compete in. They set the rules and the standards and ensure fair play. Each federation has its own rules, competitions, and membership benefits. Now, why do you need to know about powerlifting federations? One of the unique aspects about the sport of powerlifting is that there are tens and hundreds of global and national federations. The presence of multiple federations can be attributed to a combination of historical factors, differences in ideology, and the evolution of the sport. Here are a few reasons why there are so many powerlifting federations. Now, the first one is going to be historical development. Powerlifting as a sport has a rich history that dates back several decades. Over time, different organizations and groups emerged with their own sort of approaches, rules, and competitions. As the sport gained popularity, these organizations developed into federations, each with its own sort of unique identity and following. Powerlifting federations often have different ideologies and philosophies regarding how the sport should be performed. These differences can manifest in various ways, such as the emphasis on raw versus equipped lifting, as well as drug testing protocols as well. Essentially, lifters may align themselves with federations that best resonate with their own personal beliefs and goals. With each federation having their own autonomy, their autonomy fosters innovation, experimentation, and the ability to adapt to the changing trends within the sport. For example, changing the rules. Different federations can explore unique approaches to competition, including equipment allowances and drug testing policies, providing lifters with a range of options to choose from. While the presence of numerous federations may initially be a bit overwhelming, it ultimately provides lifters with options. And this promotes diversity within the sport and allows for individuals to find their federations that best align with their preferences. Now, the next question is, how do powerlifting federations differ? Now, federations differ in several aspects, including the rules and the regulations. Now, let's take a closer look to these key areas of differentiation. Now, going back to mentioning the rules and regulations that are different, these rules ultimately dictate the performance standards and the technique requirements for successful lifts. For example, some federations may have different rules regarding how one is allowed to set themselves up when it comes to performing a bench press. So for example, in some federations, you're allowed to be on your toes when it comes to your feet, whereas other federations, you're supposed to keep your feet completely flat on the floor, and that can obviously impact how you perform the bench press. So it's crucial to familiarize yourself with the specific rules of the federation that you intend to compete in to ensure compliance. So the next aspect is going to be competition formats. Now, powerlifting competitions can vary in format across federations. Some federations organize full powerlifting meets where competitors perform all three of the main lifts, whereas others may offer single lifts or specialty meets focusing on individual lifts or specific divisions. Different federations may have a different rule when it comes to choosing the number of attempts when it comes to competing. There may also be differences with regards to the number of attempts that are allowed, the time limits, and also scoring system, which can determine which lifters are considered to be better than another lifter across weight classes. And talking about weight classes, there are also various different ways that weight classes are set out amongst different federations as well. Federations also vary in their approach to equipment allowances. Now, some federations have divisions for raw powerlifting, where lifters compete without the use of supportive gear, such as lifting suits, knee wraps, and bench shirts. Other federations allow the use of supportive gear in certain divisions, known as equipped lifting. And there are also hybrids, where there are raw lifting, but knee wraps are allowed as well. The type and specifications of gear permitted can differ between federations, affecting the overall performance and lifting techniques used. The types of squat racks and bars also vary between federations as well. For example, in the IPF, they only use a competition combo rack that are built to IPF specifications, and there is a use of only one type of barbell, which is a stiff barbell. Whereas there are other federations that use more specialized barbells, such as squat bars and deadlift bars, which can be slightly longer, heavier, and whippier, as well as the use of something called a monolift as well, where the lifter isn't required to actually walk out the barbell for a back squat. Another major difference is also drug testing policies. Now, drug testing policies can differ amongst federations. Now, some federations have strict drug testing protocols and adhere to strict anti-doping standards, while others may have relaxed or minimal or no testing whatsoever. It's also important to understand the drug testing policies of the federations that you're about to join, especially if you do want to engage with a drug-free environment. Ultimately, the choice of organization that you want to join depends on your personal preferences, your goals, and the values as a lifter. And researching and understanding these differences between federations will help you find the one that aligns best with you and provides the best experience in the long term. So which federation am I a part of and why? So my career has focused on athletes who compete in the IPF and its constituent federations. So the IPF is broken down into the Asia region, Africa, Oceania, North America, Europe, and South America. And in Europe, the IPF affiliated federation is the European Powerlifting Federation, which is then broken down into its national constituents. So I'm from the UK, so the national federation that I'm a part of is British Powerlifting, which was formerly known as GBPF, or the Great Britain Powerlifting Federation. So at the end of the day, why did I choose British Powerlifting and the IPF? So I chose this federation because it was the most prominent and popular federation that was local to me, and in my opinion, the most prestigious federation, with the strictest judgment, in my opinion, of performance in competition. Now, I personally like the IPF, and the reason why I like the IPF is because I believe, in my opinion, that they are constantly working to make sure that competitive powerlifting is truly the sport of strength. And the IPF does this by revising how the sport is performed, including adjusting rules over time, even though it is through controversial and potentially imperfect rule changes. And the IPF does this by revising how the sport is performed, including adjusting the rules, even though it can be through sometimes controversial and imperfect rule changes. For example, with the recent rule changes around bench press elbow depth. But that's a story for another time. So how do you decide which federation to join? So choosing the right federation is going to require careful consideration. Now, here are some key steps to help you make an informed decision. Now, the first one is obviously going to be accessibility. So you want to consider the accessibility of the competitions organized by the different federations. Some federations may have a broader reach, offering competitions at a higher number of locations. So you also want to assess the availability and the proximity of the competitions that align with your ability and willingness to travel. So you also want to research the federation fully. So you want to look into their rules and regulations, their competition formats, equipment allowances, drug testing policies, and their overall culture and community that they foster. So check out their websites, their social media platforms, and online forums to sort of get a sense of what each federation is going to be like. So you also want to consider whether you want to focus on raw or classic lifting, or if you want to get involved with equipped lifting where you use supportive gear. So if you are going to get involved with equipped lifting, it's important that you consider the potential financial cost of getting involved with equipped lifting, as well as whether you have a community near you that also train with equipped lifting as well. And if being healthy and leading a drug-free lifestyle is important to you, then you may want to consider joining a drug-free federation. So another thing that you could benefit from doing is seeking advice. Like, you want to consult experienced lifters, coaches, and other trainers who have participated in different federations and ask what their opinions are like. Now, another thing that you may want to consider is the fact that, yes, you may be able to move from one federation to another, but some federations may be a little bit more exclusive and don't like the fact that you are involved with another powerlifting federation. And some federations may ban you if they find out that you've participated in events from other federations. So by considering these factors and evaluating how they align with you, you can then make a good decision on which powerlifting federation that you want to join. So remember, the ultimate goal is to find a federation that enhances your enjoyment of the sport and supports your growth as a lifter and provides the best platform for you to pursue powerlifting, even if it is with a slightly less popular federation. So I hope you guys have a better understanding about powerlifting federations now, and I hope that it's helped you clarify your thinking a little bit more. If you did find this video useful, please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next one.